Well, the cold and snow is causing some scattered power outages in Salt Lake City and in Utah County. About 3,000 customers are without electricity in Salt Lake in the area of 21st South and about 9th East. Utah Power says a line is down in that area. And in Utah County, about 1,000 customers in Highland, Cedar Hills, and American Fork are in the dark. Again, Utah Power says there are lines down and the outages appear to be related to the weather.
Heard a large explosion. I thought something maybe had hit my house.
There was a rude awakening this morning all across Utah as the bitter cold temperatures set in after a major snowstorm. Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us. Of course, it's not getting any warmer as the day goes on.
We have team coverage of the winter blast. Len Randolph is tracking the cold in the Weather Center. Gene Kennedy is in Salt Lake County. But first, let's check in with Sam Penrod down in Utah County. Sam?
Well, just to look outside, it seems that it is a nice sunny day, but to go outside, it is almost shocking from the cold. Here, our outside thermometer shows us it is all of 23 degrees right now, but this winter weather did really cause a shocking event this morning in Highland. Justin Engelbright and his family woke up early this morning to this. Giant sparks were shooting from a power line that fell down. In fact, his daughter thought the neighbor's house was on fire. Fortunately, it was not. Apparently, there was a power problem, likely weather-related, possibly too much ice that caused the power line to go down, but not quietly. In all, more than 1,000 homes in northern Utah County had no electricity for several hours this morning.
We had a power line down in front of our house that was exploding, had smoke and fire, and it's pretty impressive.
Of course, many homeowners had to dig out their driveways and start shoveling the walks early this morning. Not an easy project because the temperature's been so low, much of the snow is already frozen, which makes hard work even harder. Some homes are already covered in icicles. It's a pretty sight, but clearly a sign that winter is here. And those wanting to head into the backcountry are being cautioned. With 20 inches of new snow that may be unstable, there is a much higher risk of triggering an avalanche. But again, very cold morning and cold afternoon out here.
Thanks, Sam.
Well, the weather in Salt Lake City, of course, as we've been mentioning all day long, is downright cold, to say the very least. This morning it got down to single digits. I know 6 degrees in some places. Yeah, the roads very icy in certain areas. Drivers took things pretty slow this morning. It did help. There weren't really any major accidents on the roads.
There weren't any major ones, but the cold weather may be responsible for some of these power outages, as Sam talked about. Power outages in Salt Lake County. Both Sugar House and South Salt Lake took some big hits this morning. Gene Kennedy joining us live from a place where they've had their problems. Gene, what's it like right now?
Well, they've had their problems. Well, they're fixing those problems as we speak. In fact, that's what you see here in the back of the live picture here, Scott. This was the area really hardest hit. 3,000 customers were losing power between 6 and 8 this morning. And the area that we're talking about is 2100 South, 900 East. Now, most of the power, we're told, has been restored. In fact, we were told just a couple minutes ago by Utah Power that all of it's been restored, but obviously that's not the case considering what's going on right here on our live shot. It's also not the case for these businesses over here. Take a look at this. That's a barber shop here in the background where the open sign is not lit up. And then right next to that, a daycare. I just got done talking with the daycare owner, and she says we couldn't wait around any longer. We had to take the kids back to their parents because we couldn't keep them warm. A lot of people here, a lot of businesses losing money in all of this. Utah Power says that they are aware. They've had crews out throughout the morning and also as we speak right now, not only in Sugar House, but in South Salt Lake, where early this morning down there, 1,700 customers lost power. All of them have been restored except for 38 people. Tell you what, this has been a frustrating and inconvenient morning.
It could have been out for longer than 2 hours, but from what I know, it was out for at least 2 hours.
Tough day to have the power go out.
Kinda. It was cold.
Your life wasn't too inconvenienced.
No. I could miss some morning news. Not Channel 5, though.
We like to hear that. Thanks a lot. Nice meeting you. I appreciate it. Yes, we do like to hear that. Hey, if you need it, you just put the batteries in the portable TV, and you get your Channel 5 news that way. All right, if you're asking yourself, well, what's going on with all these power outages? Why is this happening? Take a look here. What you have is moisture that's freezing inside the power lines, and that's snapping the lines. You see in the live picture that one power line right there that's sagging, that sagging effect, and the ones that are right above it are tight. That's what's going on here. In fact, as we pan the live shot back to the 2700 South 500 East intersection, look at the traffic light here. That's dipped down. There's the crews right there. And what they have to do is not only turn the breaker back on, but they've got to physically pull that traffic light up. It is a job. And we've been seeing them doing that here at this intersection on several lines all morning, and we're guessing they're probably going to be doing it for hours to come. Hopefully we'll have some better news in terms of these power outages to tell you about at 4 and 5 tonight.
Yeah, and no heaters in those baskets when they're up there fixing those lines.
I know.
Either.
They just layer up. That's what they do.
Gene, thank you.
All right.
Well, it's so cold here in Utah that many of us are wondering whether our addresses have changed from the Wasatch Front to the North Pole.
Well, this cold front came to us by way of the Arctic. Sam Penrod is in Utah County where there's lots of snow and it's very cold.
That's right. In Alpine, there was as much as a foot of snow this morning. Other areas averaged about 8 inches. And to make matters worse, the temperature this morning was in the single digits. Even with unusually cold temperatures, it wasn't cold enough to keep elementary students from playing in the first snow of the season. Anita Woodard is clearing the walks and letting her 18-month-old son Riley play in the snow for the first time ever.
It's his first winter, and he's having a blast with it. But I actually like the snow. I hope it stays for Christmas.
But it is the cold temperatures she can do without.
My heater's going out. So we got the furnace guy coming today for it.
And as shocking as a single-digit morning low can be, this winter weather really caused a shocking event. Justin Engelbright and his family woke up early this morning to this giant spark shooting from a power line.
We had a power line down in front of our house that was exploding, had smoke and fire, and it's pretty impressive.
In all, more than 1,000 homes in northern Utah County had no electricity for several hours this morning. In Alpine, there was so much snow, homeowners had no choice but to dig out their driveways and shovel the walks before leaving for work or school. Some homes are already covered in icicles, a pretty sight during the holidays, but clearly a sign that winter is here. And if we think it is cold now, we should point out that winter does not officially arrive for another 2 weeks.
Gosh, Sam, wherever you're standing, you always expect to see a polar bear walk behind you or something.
There might be.
The backdrop is perfect. Thanks, Sam.
The cameras were rolling early this morning in Highland and caught this image. Power lines on fire, but power crews don't know what caused the flames. Good evening. Thank you for joining us. We certainly don't live at the North Pole, but it felt like it today with temperatures in the single digits.
And the freezing cold Arctic weather is here to stay, at least for now. In Highland, power lines went down in a neighborhood, sparking a spectacular show. ABC4's Brent Hunsaker is live where the show was caught on tape. Brent?
Yeah, and weren't those spectacular pictures? The line that came down is right over my head, right up here. It's a transmission line, came right down on this sidewalk, and I don't know how far back you can see, but for about 2 houses down here to the next driveway, you can see where there's bare sidewalk. The line came down, sending up huge arcs, melting all the snow. Now, in some places, it actually shattered the sidewalk, and in other places, it melted it.
The whole street seemed to be on fire.
Justin Engelbright rushed out of his house and took these pictures of the electrical inferno.
It was so cold this morning. I was out in my stocking feet taking video of it. It was quite a spectacle. A lot of fire and flame and spark and smoke.
It was scary.
The line went down right in front of Summer Johnson's house.
Looked out my window and there's huge flames, like 6 feet tall flames or whatever. It was like huge. I got in my car and then I was driving out and the wire was like in our driveway, and so I couldn't leave. And so I was like, oh no.
This is more than just your average 110 volt household current. This is a substation feeder line. It packs 12,500 volts.
You couldn't feel the electricity, but you could feel the current in the floor. So
You mean like a vibration?
Vibration.
And remember, he was across the street taking those pictures. He felt that all the way across the street. Now take a look at this. This is, as far as I understand, this is melted rock and concrete right here that I'm holding in my hand, and it's all over the place. It's kind of had a glassy surface on the outside and broken up on the inside. It's kind of a matte finish, but this was caused by the arcing electricity, if you can believe that. The power was out in this neighborhood for about 4 hours this morning. It affected about 1,000 customers. They were able to get the juice back on, get the line repaired and the juice back on at about 11 o'clock, a little before 11 this morning.
Brett, that's pretty scary. Now, why did this go on for so long? I mean, usually when a line goes down, doesn't it break the electric current?
It's supposed to, but what they tell me is that occasionally when a line comes down and that current seeks and gets into ground, that sometimes back at the circuit breaker, it just reads it as a heavy load, as someone operating a big machine that takes a lot of electricity, that it doesn't understand that there's actually been a break in the line, and so it just keeps going for a while. It's not supposed to happen that way. It usually doesn't happen that way, but occasionally, like this morning, it does.
A very heavy load. Thanks, Brent.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, the lights are back on everywhere tonight. That was not the case this morning after Mother Nature brought down power lines. Utah Power officials say 3,000 customers in Salt Lake City, and as Brent said, 1,000 customers in northern Utah County lost power between 5 and 6 this morning. The power was restored to everyone in Salt Lake by around 10, and in where Brent was reporting from around 11. It is always a good idea to have a power outage kit for winter, including blankets, flashlights, and battery-powered radios.
A fallen power line caused quite a spectacle, as one man puts it.
It did look like the neighbor's house was on fire. The whole street, in fact, looked like it was on fire.
Justin Engelbright of Highland shot this video. This happened early this morning. He says he heard a loud explosion, ran outside, and saw this. That's a 12,500 volt line on the ground. So hot, it melted the sidewalk.
Right, I mean, it was right next to a house. It was next to a bus stop as well. Glad kids weren't sitting out there, an hour, 2 hours later.
Utah Power shut off the power and repaired the line. Now, Utah Power is not sure whether that downed power line was connected to a power outage in Utah County. The power is back on now in Highland, Cedar Hills, and American Fork. It's also back on in parts of Salt Lake County and Tooele that had outages today. In all, about 4,000 customers were powerless for a few hours today.